My name is Richard. I work in London with the Google Play Console team, and I'm here today to talk to you about Pre-Launch Report.
And I am Justin, Tech Lead Manager for the Firebase Test Lab. Thank you, the brave few who have made it at this rather ungodly hour, the night after the party. And I'm sure that that scary, rather wordy title didn't help. Did we really use the word autonomous?
Marketing insisted.
So if you're here for a Waymo talk, you're in the wrong place. Today, we're here to talk to you about intelligent app and game testing that requires mercifully little work on your part. It's available on both the Play console and in Firebase Test Lab. Both products have massively increased their offering, and we're here to tell you about what's in one, what's in the other, and what's in both. And we'll tell you our story in the context of an app. Testing is a pain. But as you've probably heard multiple times this week, it's really important. So as much as possible, we want to take Google's expertise and resources and make it our pain and not yours.
So let's start by talking about the Pre-Launch Report. This is an automated scan of your app that aims to give you an early warning of quality problems before your users see them. It's a free service, and it applies automatically to every APK published to Play's alpha or beta tracks, or as you may have heard this week, the new open and closed testing tracks. We take APKs that you pass to Google Play, and we install them onto about 10 devices. These devices span a range. There are high-end devices, like the Pixel 2, and down to low-end devices, like the Samsung Galaxy J1 Ace. Once we have the APK installed on the device, we start a special Robo Crawler process. The Robo Crawler explores your app, inputting taps and swipes and text as a user would. This takes place on physical infrastructure, which is part of a larger farm with thousands of different devices and a large diversity of hardware and operating systems. Your fellow developers have told us that they take Pre-Launch Report very seriously. In a recent survey, 86% said that they consider Pre-Launch Report results to be important or very important when they're considering whether it's time to launch a new app into production. When developers have ignored our recommendation and launched in something that we found problems, our data says that about 75% of the time, the problems that we found in Pre-Launch Report were later seen by real users. Those users got a poor experience. They may have left bad reviews. They may have left bad ratings. They may have chosen not to spend money in the app, and they may even have uninstalled the app. Furthermore, Pre-Launch Report test results are used internally within Play as one of a number of factors when deciding how to feature and rank apps in the Play Store. As of today, we've crawled over 1 million different apps, and if we're not already crawling yours, we'd really like to be doing that. Now, as you've probably guessed from what I've said, Pre-Launch Report is pretty good at finding crashes. When we find a crash in your app while we test it, we give you a lot of information, stack traces, logcats, things like that. Everything you need to debug the crash and fix it. But we don't just do crashes. We also take screenshots and capture a video of the crawl on each device so that you can look for UX issues in different languages. In October, we added performance data. This is network, memory, and CPU metrics so that you can look for performance issues in your app. So that's what my team does, the Play Pre-Launch Report. What about your team, Justin?
So my team works on Firebase Test Lab. So Firebase Test Lab is a separate solution that is part of the suite of products under the Firebase umbrella. It uses the same technology as the Pre-Launch Report, including the larger device farm that Richard mentioned. It offers many of the same features. But it also integrates with a number of different tools, such as Android Studio, Fastlane, G-Cloud SDK, and of course the Firebase console, allowing developers to test their apps and games at all stages of the application lifecycle across a wider array of devices giving you more comprehensive test results. So let's talk about an app. This is FitnessBud. Now, while FitnessBud is not a real application, it does illustrate real-world problems. Problems we know you all have. FitnessBud is a social fitness tracking application built by, let's say, a small company, FB Solutions. FitnessBud allows you to log in with a Google account or a custom account, create an online fitness avatar, invite fitness buddies with whom to train, and even join a local gym. Richard and I are going to take you through how FB Solutions makes use of the many new tools at their disposal to develop, test, and release their soon-to-be wildly successful application.
Thanks, Justin. Now, as my wife likes to remind me when I'm being smug about something, my body shape is best described as a potato on legs. So I really need FitnessBud to be very, very good. I need all the help I can get.
So how many of you have spouses like, no, sorry, how many of you have way more time than you know what to do with and can fix every last problem in your app? Nobody?
Yeah, neither do we. With all of the signals that Pre-Launch Report makes available to you, we know it can be hard to prioritize, to decide which of these issues is the most urgent that you should fix. So starting this week, we've launched a new page which digests all of the issues we found into a single launch recommendation, as you can see here. This shows up at the top of our new Overview tab. The Overview tab then displays all of the issues that Pre-Launch Report has found, prioritized by severity. This new tab makes it easy for FitnessBud to see at a glance if this new APK that they have as a release candidate is ready to be released to users or not.
Now, TestLab's intelligent crawler does a great job of crawling the Android framework part of FitnessBud. But FitnessBud uses OpenGL for an online fitness avatar creation part. Previously, the pre-launch report couldn't test apps and games which used OpenGL, but now it can. If you're a game developer, you can write what are called demo loops. Demo loops are an automated journey through your app. They can focus on a particular level or a particular game character. Demo loops are a great way. They are an intent filter that is declared in your manifest. They're not normally called as part of the normal running of your application, but our test infrastructure will detect them and run them. Demo loops launched last year in Firebase Test Lab.
And starting this week, demo loops are now available in Pre-Launch Report as well. So if you choose to add a demo loop to your app, when we take your app through Pre-Launch Report, rather than the usual Robo crawler, we will run the demo loop and then output the full set of Pre-Launch Report output. We'll look for crashes, and most importantly, we'll give you those performance traces, so you can use demo loops for accurate benchmarking on our range of devices. If you don't use a demo loop, we will use another new feature called monkey actions. When we detect that the crawler has discovered an OpenGL part of your app, we'll fall back to random input, so we get at least some crawling for you. FitnessBud really cares about keeping its users' data safe and secure. So FitnessBud requires custom login or login with Google.
And if you use Firebase Auth, both of these are supported.
As I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted by that message from our sponsors. Pre-Launch Report uses an auto login feature. As we test your app, or as we test FitnessBud's app, when we see a sign in with Google button, we will use it, and we automatically have a Google account on the device ready to be signed in. Applications that don't use login with Google can choose to configure Pre-Launch Report with a username or an email address and a password that we will again use to get past the login screen when we see it. Next, let's talk about deep links. Deep links are a way for users to invoke functionality within your app that bypasses the normal entry flow. For example, a user might start off searching the web, but should be shown those search results within your app.
So how many of you have deep links in your apps? Wow, yeah. How many of you test those deep links at every release of the app? 1, 2? Nice.
We salute you. So FitnessBud have this problem. They use deep links to encourage users to sign up to local gyms. The user receives a Firebase notification alerting them to a special offer. They click the link in the notification, and they're taken straight to Firebase's gym sign-up to FitnessBud's gym sign-up screen. This is a very important flow for them because money changes hands. Launching this week, Pre-Launch Report will now test up to 3 deep links. You can configure it and add the deep links. We crawl as usual for the 5 minutes. Then at the end of the crawl, we close the app and visit each deep link in turn. As we visit each deep link, we crawl for a further 30 seconds.
So FitnessBud and you can make sure that users who follow deep links can have the same great experience. So as we have seen from the 1 million+ apps that the crawler has tested, sometimes crucial parts of an application are only reached through some complicated flow, like FitnessBud's gym sign-up form. It turns out that automated crawlers, and even some humans, aren't that good at entering the correct text to bypass this form.
So this is where Robo Scripts come in. These are another new feature. Robo Scripts provide guidance to our crawler to get past a complicated part of the app. They take the form of a short, scripted sequences of actions recorded as a JSON file. You can record Robo Scripts using a tool built into Android Studio. With the app running locally, you record a series of taps and swipes. You then upload this script to Pre-Launch Report or to Firebase Test Lab. The Robo Script guides the early part of the crawl, carrying out the pre-recorded sequences to get the app into some state that you think will be interesting to test. Once it's completed the Robo Script, it starts crawling normally.
Now, Robo Scripts are not only useful for crawling forms. They can also be used to guide the crawler past any parts that it finds tricky to navigate.
Usability and accessibility are really important to your app. If you make your touch targets too small, you might have a result like this. Not one of your better days at the gym, Justin? Does that happen to you a lot?
Actually, no. But I do seem to have a rather persistent irrational fear of treadmills, and I haven't been on one since.
I think that's probably wise. In the next few weeks, we're going to add to Pre-Launch Report an intelligent crawler that's going to help uncover usability issues, like that tiny button that poor Justin was trying so hard to click there. All jokes aside, though, small touch targets are a problem for a wide range of users, including users using your app on the go one-handed or users with dexterity impairments. Legible text is also extremely important, so we will warn you when text is too small, or we will warn you when the contrast is too low. Some visually impaired users rely heavily on talkback, so we will also tell you when talkback voiceover annotations are missing or confusing.
And as you can tell, that infamous button I was trying so hard to click is included in the usability results, and it's got a big red box around it. And thankfully, as far as I'm concerned, it's marked as should fix.
So after a full sprint of bug fixing, FitnessBud uploads a fresh APK to the Google Play console, and they take another look at the Pre-Launch Reports Overview tab. As you can see here, there are no longer any serious issues detected. They can now push this APK into their production channel, confident that their users will be receiving a good experience.
So we hope that you, too, can adopt the Pre-Launch Report as part of your decision to launch.
So that's what you get in Pre-Launch Report, which is available for free to everyone who publishes APKs to what we used to call the alpha or beta channels, but now call open and closed testing tracks. You can find it in the Google Play console under Manage Releases.
Thank you, Richard.
You're welcome.
So as developers, we know that the earlier we catch problems, the easier they are to fix. So if you're a conscientious developer or you just like saving money, you want to catch problems as quickly as possible. This is where Firebase Test Lab comes in. Now, many of us, myself included, have discussed ad nauseam about the importance of creating automated tests for every part of your application and to run those tests continuously to prevent regressions. This is honestly the most important thing you can do to improve the quality of your applications. But writing tests is hard. That's why when I ask in gatherings like this, how many of you have automated tests that cover every part of your application, way too few of you put up your hands. So I gave up nagging a while ago. And we at Google have put a lot of focus into creating tests for apps and games without actually having to write those tests. Earlier, we saw the automated crawler, which is part of Firebase Test Lab as what we call a robo test. But we can do much more. Let's look at how we can create tests for all the different parts of FitnessBud. So one of the first things that I, as a user of FitnessBud, will want to do is create my fitness avatar, which involves uploading my photo. And from that photo, there it is, the app actually creates a caricature of me, which seems to have emphasized all my worst flaws. It then allows me to choose a focused activity, weight training.
Is that really you up there, Justin?
It appears that my ears are not my worst flaw, vanity is. Then I get to guide my excessively buffed avatar around the various gym activities with all my equally unrealistic fitness buddies. Now, all this avatar stuff is written in OpenGL for a more immersive and fun experience for the user. And previously, it's been hard to test apps and games which use OpenGL. But over the last year, we at Google have introduced a couple of ways in which you can now do this more easily.
So we introduced at I/O last year the concept of demo loops that Justin and I discussed earlier. And Pre-Launch Report now runs demo loops in your apps and games if you choose to include them.
Now, FitnessBud can construct demo loops for all this avatar stuff by simply recording and replaying their OpenGL commands. And then, during testing, they can verify that they don't see crashes or performance issues. Now, FitnessBud can run these demo loops locally on their devices using an app that we created that's freely available. But more importantly, they can run those demo loops in Firebase Test Lab across a wide array of devices. Secondly, we announced at the Games Developer Conference earlier on this year a collaboration with NetEase to create tests for games that run in Firebase Test Lab. NetEase is one of the largest games development companies in China. And as part of this collaboration, they open-sourced their test environment, AirTest, along with a couple of frameworks that they use internally for developing tests for their own games. Now, you can download this testing framework. There is a link at the end. And with it, you can create tests that add actions and assertions that refer to game elements. So let's see how that works. So here's AirTest. And I'm just going to select game elements and add an action to touch a game element. I can wait for a game element to exist, or I can assert that a game element is visible. It's that simple. Like demo loops, these tests can be run locally. But they can also be run in Firebase Test Lab across a wide array of devices. Now, here's the goal creation screen for FitnessBud. Now, my fitness goals are pretty modest, as you saw earlier. It's a good day if I don't fall off a treadmill. With this screen, users get to create fitness goals and share them with all their fitness buddies. Now, obviously, FitnessBud wants to create tests that cover this part of the app as well. Now, typically, this involves laboriously writing tests in one of the many testing frameworks, such as Espresso or UI Automator, and then keeping those tests updated as the UI evolves.
So on that note, actually, let me quickly ask, how many of you have had to rewrite dozens or even hundreds of UI tests because you've made some small change in your app? Right? And it's really painful, right? This has happened to me too. I know exactly that this is a really painful situation.
So this is the exact reason why we built Espresso Test Recorder. Espresso Test Recorder is part of Android Studio. And with it, you can quickly record Espresso tests by simply interacting with your device running your app locally. With it, we can create lots of tests that cover the non-OpenGL parts of FitnessBud. Now, you can create these tests in either Java or Kotlin, but the best thing is that if your UI does change, you can go back in and easily re-record those tests. Let's see how this works. All right, this is Android Studio here. I'm going to choose to record an Espresso test. I'm going to pick my local Pixel 2, which is running. Then compiles and installs my app and brings up this event window. And at this point, I get to enter my name, click on an avatar, and it records the events all there in that window. Next, I want to add an assertion. So adding an assertion involves pulling a screenshot from the device so that I can select elements in that screenshot on which I want to assert. I will do that, click on an element, and then I'm going to click OK. I get to choose Java or Kotlin. I'm going to choose Kotlin. I'm going to click OK. And there is my Kotlin test class. It's that simple. With Espresso Test Recorder, you can modularize your testing. You can create test snippets for the commonly used functions in all your tests, such as logging in or filling out a search form. And so, with all that free time, all those excuses for not going to the gym simply evaporate. So now, FitnessBud has a battery of tests. And all they have to do is add them to their continuous integration system. And now, every time they make a change, they can be much more confident, this is the beauty, much more confident that it did not break the app in some obscure way.
And I mean, speaking as a developer myself, peace of mind like that is honestly priceless. But FitnessBud is going to have to run on the myriad of devices that people drag to the gym. How do they make sure that the app runs well on all those devices? Well, they could buy a whole bunch of devices, hook them up to a workstation, and stick them in a closet somewhere. But FitnessBud's gym closets are full of gym bags because they practice what they preach. Plus, maintaining a device closet is a really hard and soul-destroying activity. Trust me on this. Not only do you have to keep the devices online and updated, but you also have to procure new ones as the old ones die or explode, and fresh ones come out onto the market.
FitnessBud would much rather be cutting code or pumping iron. So what's the alternative?
So Justin and I have already described to you how Pre-Launch Report offers free crawler testing on about 10 devices to every APK that FitnessBud upload. But you can go much further with the Firebase Test Lab, using a broader range of devices, covering an even wider gamut of screen sizes, Android API versions, different OEMs, and different chipsets.
And so to illustrate this, we recently added pre-release P devices that you can now all test on. But what I'm most excited today to announce, wait for it, is our new support for iOS. Oops, I was already up there. All right. You already knew. So you can sign up for a beta through the Firebase console. There's a link at the end. FitnessBud is a global application. And as such, it needs to be tested on a whole bunch of different languages. Both Firebase Test Lab and the Play console allow you to do just that. With Firebase Test Lab, you can run your tests on any locale you wish. And Pre-Launch Report recommends the most popular languages amongst your users. So now, there should be no reason for FitnessBud to waste all that time and energy maintaining a device closet, which gives them even more time to spend at the gym. It's kind of a wonder they get any coding done, actually. Like in the Pre-Launch Report, Firebase Test Lab also gives you comprehensive test results, like crashes and ANRs, video and screenshots, logs, performance metrics, a map of the activities the crawler found. The video and screenshots are especially important to help FitnessBud verify that their app looks good and runs well across all those screen sizes and orientations and locales. Let's look at how easy it is to quickly run a test in the Firebase console. Firstly, I want to quickly point out our new iOS support. There it is. You're going to dismiss that coach mark, but it's there. We're going to run a robo test. Robo test is the simplest of tests. All it requires is that you give us your app. Now I'm going to quickly choose an app at random from my hard disk there and upload it. While it's uploading, you'll note we can also upload a Robo Script, which we're not going to do here, but now I get to choose my devices from amongst the many devices. Some of these devices are deprecated, which means they exploded, and we can no longer procure them. I'm going to go with the default 2 devices, but I do want to add some locales. I'm going to add Chinese. I'm going to add Arabic when I get there. And then lastly, I'm going to add Spanish. And then I'm going to fix the locales, because I really only care about portrait mode. And then, fix the locales, please. There we go. Then I'm going to start 8 tests. 8 tests because it's 2 devices times 4 locales. So now, what Test Lab is going to do is, in the background, it will allocate 8 devices. It will configure those devices, setting the locale, the orientation. It will then install my app on all those devices. And then it will run a 5-minute robo test, which will take 5 minutes. So, oh, thank God it's done. All right, there we go. I'm going to pick the first of these. You see we have logs, we have screenshots, we have an activity map, which is a map of the activities we visited. You have performance information, which is tied to the video. So you can see what's happening in your app at the time of the CPU spikes or the frames per second drops. You can find instructions on the web, on the Firebase documentation site, for how to hook Test Lab up to many common continuous integration systems, like Jenkins, or Circle CI, or TeamCity. We have a number of customers who are doing exactly this, testing their app multiple times a day. TestLab is helping them find problems way before they end up affecting their users. And best of all, you can get started for free with our Spark billing tier. So it's really that simple.
Justin and I hope that our talk here today can give you a renewed inspiration for your testing strategy. It doesn't have to be difficult to test comprehensively. Let the pre-launch report in the Google Play console help you discover crashes, performance issues, security vulnerabilities, and soon accessibility warnings with zero configuration required from you. Just publish an APK to the open or closed testing tracks, and a report will be generated for you. You can go further than the auto-generated report by giving us custom login credentials, Robo Scripts, deep links, and demo loops to help us test your app better.
And if you want to test maybe more often, maybe more comprehensively, take a look at Firebase TestLab, which, in addition to the features Richard just mentioned, also allows you to create and run your own tests. So take a picture of this if you wish. Give you a couple of seconds to do that. I think most people have already done that.
We'd really love to hear more from you. So if you have any comments or suggestions, please use the link in the I/O app or come find us in person after the talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.